Okay, a set of tutorial videos. Trying to focus more on the end game. Four knights. And let's simplify capture. Capture. We do this move to block or attack the pawn if it's coming down to attack the knight, which it does do. And we don't mind actually not castling, although he may just take with his queen, yeah, which he has done. So at what stage now are we in this game? So the transition from the opening through to the mid game through to the end game, in my head, should be a seamless thing. It should be, in fact, the end game opening. So we could capture, could block. I'm going to simplify and capture. So right from the opening, in my eyes, you should be attempting to basically go for the end game as soon as you can. Not quick and dirty tactics, but positionally you should be ready and prepared for the end game. Because if you start thinking about it in terms of, well, I'm doing my opening and then I'm doing my mid game, then that's where you lose track, because you don't know where your opponent's at. They may be going for the quick and dirty type end game opening, and then you are then chasing your tail trying to catch them back up. So I'm going to go attacking the weak pawn, also attacking the bishop. Bishop's now gone greedy munching for this pawn here. I'm attacking this weak pawn at the moment, looking to develop and get my king castled if I can. So the opponent is now +1 at the moment. Their knight is defending this pawn and is looking also to attack our bishop. Could bring the bishop back and then it doubles our pawns up, or we could just bring it back all together here off of the line of the attack. Could bring it here attacking his pawn, but then we get attacked again by his pawn, so then we're just dancing around. So probably just bringing the bishop back here. It's also learning about being able to retreat from your attack to get a better position. Going to castle, they castle dead quick there, they've got a plan set. Pawn's probably going to push onto the knight now. That'll give us a little bit of a fork with the knight. Bishop does have this attack here. He's actually attacking us, so can bring it here, but would lose the knight. Can bring it here just to settle itself. White square bishop's going to put a check on our king once we attack the knight here, which we're going to do. There's no point really pushing this now because his pawn's just going to drop here because he's got the support here. So we could push this pawn first. As we mentioned, this bishop is going to come and put a check on our king. Could bring the bishop here, maybe to preempt that. So his king's looking for a nice little flight square now. His knight is not protecting this square at the moment, so we can bring our bishop here just to give it a little touch. Okay, this knight doesn't have any protection on, so we could bring the bishop back and attack the knight, but I'm really conscious that I want to develop my other pieces. So I'm going to just attack his bishop, and through his bishop is his knight. So his bishop potentially is coming here to protect the knight. We can bring the bishop back, have a 2-on-1, but then the knight can jump elsewhere. So he could attack this pawn here, so that's something to think about. His rook is in the corner, but his rook is also defending this area, so the bishop can't attack that. once this knight moves out of the way. The knight moves to protect is also attacking our bishop, also attacking this pawn at the same time. So if we bring our bishop here, we're attacking this pawn here, defending this pawn. So constantly in your games, especially for my games, yes, it's about the end game opening, but in between all of that, you have to then look at your blind spots. You have to look at, well, okay, I am going for the end game, but if your opponent's wanting to stop you from getting to the end game, you have to be prepared for the battle. Interesting. So he's come round, he's attacking our knight, doubling our pawns on this side, because if our bishop takes here, he takes our knight, we move the knight, well, can't move the knight. He takes our knight, we capture. Suppose we could capture this pawn here, but he'd move that pawn. I like knights. Is it worth losing the tempo on this? If I bring my knight here, or if I attack his knight, if I attack his knight escapes, goes back up to there. I like knights. I think I'm going to keep it this time. Decisions. It's always nice to be able to take a piece off the board, but if it is still wanting us to take that, but his bishop now is targeting this pawn here. So I'm actually going to attack his knight. Knight is covering this square, his bishop's covering this square. I suppose his knight could go there because he's got his rook as well. His bishop does takes anyway. Can't actually attack it, so I'm going to attack his rook. So he's peeling off pawns left, right and centre. I call that the greedy munch, because we've not gone and done that because we want to try and get a better position on the board, and he's still greedy munching. Right, so let's improve our position. So it's a position about the end game. It's not about material gain for me, it's about the position for the end game. It's going for our bishop. What's his knight troubling? Anything else? Let's attack the bishop on this side. Does capture, surprised at that. It's coming for the rook. Does he have a fork? Can we take the knight? Let's go here. So he's got 3 pawns on the far side, so he's like +2 at the moment. But are we happy with our position per se? I'm saying it's slightly okay for us, I think. He wants to keep that bishop on the board, hey? I like my knight. Let's grab, and then let's take this pawn here. Okay, so fairly comfortable. Bishop's actually looking for this square here to actually get this angle, but don't tell the opponent that. Yep. Don't tell the opponent, because what we want to do, see how he wants to go here? Just bring the king across. Just blocking off any attempts at them getting their end game. It'd be nice if I could keep this bishop on with this diagonal. I can feel the picture building up for us. But if it goes, it goes. Okay. Nice and steady away. So now they're just +1, so he's actually seeing what potentially I can get going on with this position. So just going to bring across now. He may go for a simple exchange, but he's got a rook under attack at the minute. So like I say, he's got the pawn majority on this side. They've not started moving down as yet, so we don't need to be worried too much. And let's just go here. He can take the rook, actually, the pawn, sorry, with a check on my king. Let's go here. Like I said, I feel comfortable about this position. I'm not too bothered about it. It feels okay for me. If I can keep this dark square bishop on, that will be quite helpful, like I mentioned. Let's just go here. My little castle. So I'm not even getting into a flap about the situation. It's got the dark square bishop, which is looking to get his bishop here, but he can't do that because he's got the pin through from my rook onto his king. So in essence, he should really lose his bishop. And we did mention, if I can keep the dark square bishop on, it's probably going to be better for us working towards the king area. And case in point here, there's a nasty little pin that we've got going on towards his king. So that's sort of the end game process, having that mentality about thinking about where you want to be in the end game. And that's how I've tried to develop my end games. I'm not saying I don't win any of my games all the time in any way, shape, but the ones where I've really put it in and put the focus in, and they've resigned. Okay, let's just have a look at the analysis on there, see what sort of trouble we were in. It's always nice to evaluate your games, win, lose or draw. You've got to do it if you're wanting to improve. Okay, so let's see how far down the dipping board we are in terms of evaluation. So we grabbed, yes, so white is winning here because we do play some maverick chess. Yeah, so white's got the advantage there, brings the bishop through, we attack. Yeah, so white's winning for the majority of the opening period, if you like. Yeah, so it's really heavily they're winning, you know, because they've grabbed pawns. And look at that, meaty wins. Which goes to show that we were playing a human, because obviously they didn't take advantage of whatever advantage that they had. I felt my advantage was okay. I'd especially around about this area, I suppose I was lining up my end game process, how I would like the end game process to go, the concept of it. Concept being the dark squared bishop. So that looks like that was the bad move, greedy munching. And at that stage we did say, yeah, look, they're going greedy munching, you know. And so you lose out when you're going greedy munching, but then obviously we made a bad move because we gave them it back. So what was the intention? Yeah, so going for the rook exchange was not the right thing to do. We had the option of taking the knight. Look at that. But we felt taking the knight, then we're losing the rook. So yeah, okay, don't see the quick look. Then he takes the rook. Bishop or the rook takes the bishop. So I'm the exchange down then. I don't think so. Right, so okay, so we went there and we were out and out losing, which they did take. So it's a few moves before we actually lose here. So we'll capture, just want to see where it was. And we did bring the bishop down, and we captured here. Whoa, severe loss. Then they brought the knight across. Then we attacked the knights. Oh, it's saying we should have taken the pot. Why? No, I needed to keep my dark square bishop on. I explained. Okay, so pushing the pawn up. Yeah, okay. And my focal point was so much on towards the king area to get the end game with the dark square bishop. So supporting it with the pawn would have blocked that process as far as I could see. Yeah. White's still winning. And that's where it all changed. But then I gave it back to them. And then that's when it all changed again. And definitely changed at that point. Okay, so was opponent error, but at the same time, it's about what concepts I was thinking of in terms of taking advantage of those errors, basically. So yeah, it's nice to look at evaluation, but like I say, you can learn some things from them, but there's certain things that you as a human, you probably won't do for a long time, unless of course you really want to put it into your game. Then you'd have to keep practicing and practicing and practicing those types of concepts until it's in your game. Mini tutorial. Knight attacking the pawn, developing the bishop, attacking the weak square towards the king side, developing the pawn here, looking for attacking here, knight coming here, and we're going to go for it. There we go. And just attack the king. So now the king can't go on castle, so let's make some inroads in towards the king area. And let's capture. And let's go for the bishop or the queen. Let's go for the bishop. And let's go for the queen. Let's not move the queen out of the way. That's surreal. Let's go here. Let's move the queen out of the way now. Let's bring the bishop through now. It's got to bring the rook, I think, here, facing the queen. Yeah. And just bring the queen off of the line just to start towards the king area. The knight's captured. I'm not too sure. Let's go for it. Like we said, a little check on the king with the queen. Going to take the knight off the board for free. But before we do that, is there anything else? Could the queen take? No, because the queen is supporting. So let's take the minor piece. Pressure is as pressure does. Let's move the king just a little bit to here. He's got to develop his rook. And let's see. Don't know if that'd be a fair trade or not. Could go here. Just bring it offline maybe. Just bring it down. Do have options. If we go here, his pawn drops down, then I'm losing tempo. So let's bring it here for now, so I can bring my rook over, facing off the queen. Is there anything else before we go jumping in there? Bishop, bishop. No, let's face the queen off. Pawn drops down onto the bishop. Doesn't drop down onto the bishop, so we can attack the knight. Behind the knight is the queen. Queen's now going doing some type of kamikaze, so we'll put a check on the king here. And the queen can just put a small little check on to try and win a bit of tempo, because his queen is going to be snapping up pawns. Let's go here, maybe looking to double here. And his queen has moved off of that diagonal, which was going to help protect him, so let's go here. And it should really be done now. go there. Could go with the rook. This king starts running around. Okay, we can go there. This queen is obviously going to take this pawn, we can block with the bishop. Got to be careful in these stages here. You think you're winning and then, like this small pawn move here, if we do capture, his queen captures with a check. So put a check on the king. And another check on the king. Let's see if we can really harass it. So another check on the king. And just keep going until we run out. And I think that might be it. Oh, not yet. So it's funny when you see these cases because you think you've got it, and then because he's moved his king closer towards your king, then they find a magical move. So I'm going to go here and capture this troublesome pawn. We could look to exchange off the queens. Let's go here. Just simplify and capture. Well, I thought I couldn't capture for a second there. And so now the bishop, he does have these pawns though, doesn't he? Careful is as careful does. Let's just grab this pawn here. He's going to ramp them down. Let's put a check on the king again. And capture this pawn. Capture this one. And let's go for this pawn. This king's going to come and support. So he has to drop down, but the bishop's protecting, so we can start. Oh, and they've resigned. Okay. Just developing the knight. Second knight. Attacking the pawn. And from evaluation, we do like this maneuver. Although really, in my heart of hearts, after this particular move, depending on what they do, you get either the knight or the bishop. It's not really a position I'm loving at the moment, but I'm working on it. I do like it because it does sometimes surprise people. So we're going to be up like it, well, not up, but we've captured a knight. Equal exchange in a sense, but we're +1 currently. Want to try and find the dynamic moves. Attacking the weak square, the weak pawn. He's attacking my weak square, my weak pawn. Knight's protecting this pawn here, so we can castle, because the rook is now defending this weak pawn, along with the king. Attack the weak pawn, because we have the bishop and we have the queen hitting that area. His defense is bishop dropping here. Or the knight on the rim. We take the knight on the rim, we have to risk the chance that this pawn is going to open this file for the rook to attack. But I'm believing if he does take the bishop now with the pawn, we win the tempo to actually just put a little bit of a check on the king. It's not checkmate. Whoa! It's a horse of a different colour. Is there a move order thing here? Or have I just saved a piece? So I'm up a minor piece. So I can bring my bishop back. Attack his bishop. I don't think there's anything else. I could take and his king is out in the open. But I don't have anything supporting that. So if we bring the bishop back and attack his bishop. He's attacking a higher piece. He's attacking our queen. So I'm going to attack the queen. Potentially open it up. But we can't open with this pawn because then his bishop takes our bishop for free. So we have to take with this pawn. It's amazing how the opponent spotted that sort of continuation. Yes, so we capture now. So we've now got 3 pawns. I think they missed an opportunity because maybe the pawn could have taken there. So we can take because our knight is now protecting this pawn. So they're moving quite fast actually now. Could block this pawn from dropping down by going here. Just bringing the bishop and attacking this pawn. I don't know how long that's going to last. Then developing the rook to double the rooks on this F file. Make it look like I'm attacking the bishop, which I am, but oh, hold on before I do that. I can still double the rooks. If his bishop takes, then the pawn, well, the pawn isn't going to take. This opponent is seeing quite a few discovered attacks, because if he takes and if I took with my pawn, his rook would take with this pawn here. So I would have to take with my knight. They're seeing quite a few of these fancy things. Let's go here. We're going for doubling up on this rook pawn, and as we said, if he does take, we take with the knight. Yep. They're seeing them so fast, like that queen maneuver that I did earlier. Just support the pawn now because he's attacking on this side here. We do have the attack here. Maybe he's going to push this pawn down now. But he's moved it because the knight could have, well, not yet, but. So he's looking to, he's got a 2-on-1 on this pawn. I'm just thinking if we do grab this pawn here, I suppose he can take because the knight can't go there because he'll have 2 on there. Yeah, okay, that works out. So we are up a minor piece, but we need to jostle a little bit. It can go up now and attack our knight. Our pawn can push here. Are we looking for a back rank checkmate type thing? So if we come to this side here, yep. So we'll try and get our rooks lined up to attack the king, while he's looking at trying to attack our knights, yep. So we could go up, or we could just bring the pawn, like we said, to support the knight. So you have to be so careful in these endings, especially for me. I have to be. It's end games are what I'm constantly trying to work on, constantly trying to improve on. From starting OTB competitions in 2013, that was what I was told to do, basically, by the people who I played against. Practice your end games. Your openings and your mid games look okay to us, but practice your end games. So, oh no, what have I done? He's going to take my rook. Oh, oh, he's missed it. His king could have just taken my rook and blocked my own passageway. Oh dear, well, what am I doing with this position now? That's because I was too busy talking about endgames. Oh, he's won my pawn. Oh, I'm going to have to go here, aren't I? Oh, that was so slack. Sorry. It's meant to be a tutorial. Yeah, but I am human, but yeah, okay, take my time. So yeah, when I've been to OTB competitions since 2013, when I got told to look at your end games, because like your opening and your mid games are really quite strong, very quite versatile. You get in good positions, but somehow you end up losing your advantage. And oh, they've resigned. Quick look at the analysis there, because that was a lost game just on that last bit, which is a shame. Shall we see the bar? Yeah, so we were winning, saying king there, saying a draw there actually. I wonder why that is. Well, maybe the knight can dance somewhere. So if the king did take, I'm saying it was a mistake, then we do get a check. Yeah. So we get a check and it goes backwards and forwards. Where would I have gone? I would have gone, oh, woe is me, game's over. But it's saying a draw, so it wasn't that bad a position. But yeah, just got to be mindful. It's just that I was talking about end games and I lost my concentration there.